My husband's family hated me for years and said that he could have done so much better. But when I had a baby, they showed up to our house with a contract in order to control how we raise our baby. Now we are in a legal conflict with my sister-in-law as she refuses to back down. I'm Taylor, 28F, and I've been married to Mike, 32M, for 4 years now. We just had our first child, a beautiful baby girl named Abigail, 3 weeks ago. The issue is that Mike's family, especially his mother Linda, 55F, has always been very controlling and judgmental towards me. Mike and I met in college. I was working part-time as a waitress to support myself through school, and he was a regular at the cafe where I worked. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared love of classic literature and indie music. Mike was studying business, following in his family's footsteps, while I was pursuing a degree in education. When Mike first introduced me to his family, I was intimidated by their wealth and status. They live in a sprawling mansion in the most exclusive neighborhood in our city. Linda, a former beauty queen turned socialite, greeted me with a cold smile and immediately started asking probing questions about my family and background. I come from a middle-class family. My dad is a mechanic and my mom is a nurse. We've always been comfortable, but certainly not wealthy. When Linda found out about my parents' occupations, she visibly recoiled and quickly changed the subject. Mike's father, Tom, 58M, owns a successful real estate company that's been in the family for 3 generations. He was polite but distant during our first meeting, more interested in discussing business with Mike than getting to know me. Mike's sister, Amy, 30F, was openly hostile from the start. She made snide comments about my clothes, which weren't designer brands, and kept bringing up Mike's ex-girlfriend, a daughter of one of their family friends. Despite the chilly reception, Mike and I continued dating. He assured me that his family would warm up to me eventually, but as time went on, their behavior only got worse. Linda would constantly criticize my choices, from how I dressed to how I kept our apartment. She'd make snide comments about my job as a high school teacher, suggesting that I should quit and work for their company instead. Amy wasn't much better. She'd often join in with her mother's criticisms and make me feel unwelcome at family gatherings. Once, at a family dinner, she accidentally spilled red wine on my white dress and barely apologized. Tom, while not openly hostile, made it clear that he didn't see me as a suitable partner for his son. He'd often talk about other young women from their social circle, hinting that they would be better matches for Mike. Throughout our relationship, Mike has tried to mediate between me and his family. He loves them, but he also stands up for me when they cross the line. We've had countless arguments about his family's behavior, and it's been a constant source of stress in our relationship. When Mike proposed, his family's reaction was less than enthusiastic. Linda cried, and not tears of joy. She accused Mike of throwing away his future and begged him to reconsider. Tom refused to give his blessing, saying we were rushing into things. Amy called me a gold digger to my face. Despite their disapproval, we got married in a small ceremony. Mike's family attended, but they made their displeasure known. Linda wore black, as if she was attending a funeral rather than her son's wedding. Tom gave a toast that was more about the family business than our marriage. Amy got drunk and tried to give a speech about how I wasn't good enough for her brother before Mike cut her off. After the wedding, things didn't improve. Linda would show up at our house unannounced, criticizing everything from our decor to our choice of groceries. She'd bring over expensive gifts that we couldn't afford to reciprocate, then act offended when we didn't use them. Tom would constantly pressure Mike to take a bigger role in the family business, implying that he needed to make up for marrying me. When we announced my pregnancy, I hoped things would change. I thought maybe becoming grandparents would soften Linda and Tom. For a while, it seemed like it might. They were excited about the baby and even offered to help set up the nursery. But as my due date approached, the old issues resurfaced. Linda started insisting on being in the delivery room, even though I had made it clear I only wanted Mike there. She'd show up at our house unannounced, claiming she was just checking on the baby. She'd bring baby clothes and toys without asking us first, often expensive designer items that weren't practical for a newborn. Amy, meanwhile, seemed to view my pregnancy as a personal affront. She'd make comments about how I was trapping Mike with a baby and suggest that I'd let myself go. At a family dinner, she even had the audacity to ask if we were sure the baby was Mike's, causing a huge argument. The breaking point came 2 days before I went into labor. Linda and Amy showed up at our house with a contract. They said they had concerns about how I would raise the baby, given my background. The contract stipulated that the baby would spend at least 3 days a week at their house, that they would have a say in major decisions like schooling and medical care, and that the baby would be raised in their faith. I'm not religious, while they're devout Catholics. The contract also included clauses about the baby's diet, extracurricular activities, and even what languages they should learn. It was clear that they wanted to control every aspect of our child's life. I was furious. I told them to leave immediately and that they wouldn't be welcome around my child if this was how they were going to behave. Mike was at work during this confrontation, and when I told him about it later, he was shocked and angry at his family's behavior. Mike called his parents and had a heated argument with them. He told them that their behavior was unacceptable and that if they couldn't respect our choices as parents, they wouldn't be part of our child's life. Linda cried and Tom yelled, but Mike stood his ground. I went into labor 2 days later, and true to my wishes, only Mike was in the delivery room with me. After Abigail was born, I told Mike I didn't want his family to meet her yet. I was still hurt and angry about the contract incident, and I didn't trust them to respect our boundaries as parents. Mike understood my feelings but said his family was excited to meet Abigail. He suggested letting them visit for a short time, under our supervision. I refused, saying I needed time to recover and bond with our baby without their interference. It's been 3 weeks now, and Mike's family still hasn't met Abigail. They've been calling and texting constantly, alternating between apologies and guilt-tripping. Linda has left tearful voicemails begging to see her granddaughter. Tom has sent emails reminding Mike of his family obligations. Amy has been posting passive-aggressive comments on social media about how some people don't appreciate family. Mike is torn between respecting my wishes and wanting to share this joyous moment with his family. He suggested compromises, like a short video call or sending photos, but I'm hesitant even about that. I'm worried that any concession will be seen as an invitation to push our boundaries further. I know I'm being harsh, but I feel like I need to protect my daughter from their controlling behavior. I don't want Abigail to grow up feeling like she's not good enough because she doesn't fit into her grandparents' narrow view of what's acceptable. I don't want her to be caught in the middle of family drama like I've been for the past 6 years. At the same time, I feel guilty about keeping Abigail from her grandparents and aunt. I know how important family can be, and I worry that I might be overreacting due to my own issues with them. Mike has been supportive of my decision so far, but I can tell it's wearing on him. He misses his family, despite everything. I've considered allowing a short, supervised visit, but every time I think about it, I remember all the hurtful things they've said and done over the years. I remember the contract and how they tried to control our child before she was even born. And I wonder if I can ever trust them to respect our boundaries and treat us with kindness. Ida for refusing to let my husband's family meet our newborn daughter? Am I denying Abigail a relationship with her extended family out of spite? Or am I protecting her from people who have shown they don't respect her parents? I'm at a loss for what to do next. Update 1. Thanks for all your responses to my original post. A lot has happened in the past 2 weeks, and I wanted to give you all an update. After reading your comments and talking things over with Mike, we decided to have a conversation with his family. We invited them over to our house, with the understanding that they wouldn't see Abigail during this visit. The meeting was tense, to say the least.